In a kingdom sculpted from marble hearts and draped in velvet dreams, there lived a girl who learned the wrong lesson far too young, believing that applause was louder than love. Isn't it wonderful? She used to joke, never having a moment to yourself. Who needs peace when you've got an endless schedule? But the truth, she couldn't tell anymore whether she believed her own words or just repeated them like lines in a play. Everyone adored Princess Orin. The courtiers whispered about her charm, her beauty, her effortless grace. They praised her presence at every ball, every banquet, every royal gathering. She wore glittering gowns chosen by others, spoke to people hand-picked by her father, smiled when expected, and every polite compliment left her emptier than before. She craved real love, yet the only thing she received was admiration. "You were wonderful at the gala last night," her father told her. "Thank you, father," she replied with the practiced grace of a princess. "I mean," he added with a proud laugh, "wearing that beautiful dress I purchased, mingling with guests I invited, such talent surely deserves applause." "I suppose," she murmured. Orin never understood this contradiction inside her. She longed for attention, yet despised the shallow praise showered upon her. She didn't feel as if she'd earned any of it. To the kingdom, Orin appeared joyful, radiant, untouchable, but behind closed doors, she felt like she wore joy the way someone wears a borrowed crown, bright and dazzling, but not her own. She didn't fall in love, she fell into patterns. She attracted boys who needed saving. Boys who spoke in riddles and silences she tried so hard to decode. Boys who reflected her emptiness and convinced her it was magic. She never stopped to wonder whether she liked these men. She just clung to anyone willing to stay, because the thought of being alone terrified her. And when they left, and they always did, she never questioned her choices. She only blamed herself. Why do they leave? Maybe my love is too heavy. Maybe I'm too much. The truth was simple. Orin kept choosing wrong. Then she cried when it went wrong again, spiraling deeper into loneliness even while surrounded by people who cared but never truly understood her. Then came Prince Jacob. Sharp jaw, sharper tongue, quiet in all the right ways, or so she thought. "Good morning, Prince," she greeted him one day. "Where is she?" Someone whispered nearby. "Where do you think?" Another voice answered. When they finally spoke, she teased him. "So are you mysterious, or just emotionally constipated?" "You talk enough for both of us," he replied flatly. "That's true," she admitted with a laugh. "Tell me, Princess, what's your favorite number?" he asked suddenly. 9. "Good. I'll schedule my next trip out of town for the 9th. Her heart fluttered. "He's so thoughtful," she told herself. "He's rude," her lady-in-waiting whispered. "You're overthinking," said another. To Orin, every insult felt like attention, and every absence read like poetry. When the royal court announced a masquerade ball in Prince Jacob's honor, Orin was thrilled. Ministers whispered that this union would be good for the kingdom. She heard, "Finally, my father approves. Finally, I won't be alone. Finally, I'll be happy." Neither of those thoughts should have been acceptable. But she silenced the doubt. That evening, the palace glittered under golden light. Music swelled as Orin's heartbeat pounded louder than the orchestra. She believed this was the story she'd been promised all her life. "Prince Jacob," she said, approaching him with glowing cheeks, "may I have this dance?" A hush fell. She was brave enough to ask a princess, stepping beyond tradition. But Jacob only smirked. No. The rejection hit like ice water. "I can't watch this," someone muttered. "I thought asking made me bold," she whispered to herself. "It makes you presumptuous," Jacob said coldly. "No, I wasn't trying to. I love you. I know you feel it too." "Love me," he laughed. "You don't love me. You love the idea that someone might finally love you back. Get over yourself, princess." No one spoke up for her. Not even the king, until anger overtook him. "Guards," the king barked. "Remove him at once." "Your Majesty, it was a joke," Jacob stammered. "Orin, you know I didn't mean it." But for the first time, Orin didn't believe anyone's words but her own. She realized he wasn't lying about his cruelty. He was telling her exactly who he was. And worse, she realized she had been the joke. In front of the whole court, the golden girl shattered. They say shame lingers longer than pain. She didn't plan her next move. She just ran. Orin awoke in a world she didn't recognize. "Where am I?" she whispered. "I'm so thirsty." She stumbled toward a glistening stream. Kneeling to drink, she froze. "Why can't I see my reflection?" "Because you're not really here," a voice answered. "Who said that?" "Spirit of the forest." Temporary therapist. Occasional mushroom decorator. The water? She murmured. It's a soul pond, the spirit explained. Shows you your truest self. But yours isn't showing because you've misplaced it. I lost myself. No self. No reflection. It's not just a rule, it's a warning. Back at the palace, soldiers searched every road and river for the missing princess. But Orin wandered far from their reach, guided only by the spirit's strange advice. There's a maze deep in this forest, the spirit said. It holds everything that's ever been lost. If you want your true self back, it's in there somewhere. And until you see your reflection in the soul pond, you cannot leave this forest. Honestly, you could use the exercise anyway. First step toward finding yourself. Stop sulking and start searching. This feels like an emotional obstacle course, Orin muttered, but she obeyed. She walked for hours until her feet throbbed, then at last stood before towering hedges shaped into an endless labyrinth. Remember, the spirit's voice echoed. The self you're looking for isn't new, it's the part you buried. Good luck. Inside the maze, Orin met her own memories. Laughter that wasn't hers. Parties that left her hollow. Courtiers clapping while she silently crumbled. Why do they always leave? Her younger self sobbed at one turn. I love you, Prince. Another memory cried at another. Every corner reflected a piece of her she had tried to ignore, her constant hunger for approval, her fear of being unwanted. She remembered loving mirrors not because they told the truth, but because they reflected something smooth and pretty, even if it wasn't real. Finally, at the maze's heart, she saw a little girl sitting on the ground, weeping as a ship disappeared over the horizon. Orin's knees buckled. The truth washed over her. She had never been searching for romance, she'd been searching for the child her parents left behind. Back at the castle, the golden girl was gone. Prince Jacob, dragged home from banishment, stood trembling before the king. You arrogant fool, the king roared. Because of you, I lost my daughter. No, father, a voice interrupted. The court turned. Princess Orin stood in the doorway, glowing not with polished perfection, but with something deeper. You found your daughter because of him, she said softly. We should thank him. The court gasped. The girl who had run away had returned as someone entirely new. Where have you been? The king asked, his voice breaking. In search of myself, Orin answered. She tried to explain her journey, how she'd faced her emptiness, how she'd found the self she'd buried long ago. Her father struggled to understand, but she realized she didn't need him to. Her path was hers alone. By Orin's command, Prince Jacob was spared and released with generous gifts. As for the princess, she still laughed. She still danced. But she no longer did it for applause. She did it because it felt like freedom. And when people clapped, she finally let herself feel it, not as validation, but as shared joy. She ruled her kingdom with warmth instead of performance, truth instead of perfection. Under her reign, marble hearts softened, velvet walls breathed, and the kingdom flourished. The girl who once begged to be loved became a woman who loved herself. And from that love, everything else grew. I spent so long chasing approval, Orin said one day, that I forgot I was already enough. I still want to be seen. But now I see myself too.